watching the APLCrafts podcast. This is a channel about knitting with a little bit of crochet and a lot of hand-dyed yarn. I am filming outside of Nashville, Tennessee, where I live with my family and a whole lot of cats. And if you stick around, you'll hear a lot of cat stories. Some good, some bad. Actually, I do have a tale of woe, but I'll leave that to the end. But yeah, I'm so glad you're here. And today is going to be kind of a mix of a vlog and a normal podcast. I'm going away for 10 days, so this is kind of like my last podcast-ish, if you will, until like the very end of the month. If I even film at the end of the month, we'll see. But let's get started. So today's agenda, I have some shop news I'm going to start off with first, and then we're going to go into the vlog style where I talk about what I did this past weekend, and then I'm going to show some of my finishes and some of my WIPS. So for shop news, I have two colorways that have entered the shop. One is a brand new one. Actually, both of them are new, but one I just dyed up for my dye channel, APLCrafts Lazy Dye Studio, and this is the latest color that we did. This is called Ribbon Candy, and I had an inspiration photo that I took off of Pinterest, so it's if you know what ribbon candy looks like, I'll throw a picture up in case you're unfamiliar with that candy. We don't eat it very much for the holidays anymore, but it's still around. But if you're older like I am, then you will definitely remember ribbon candy being in some kind of tin or dish for the holidays at like your grandparents' house. So that's what this is, and it's on a superwash merino nylon and lurex blend, and it's hot pink and dark pink and green and white. And actually, let me just take this out of this bow so you can see the dark pink, because it is not showing up in this hank. So there you go. There's more of that hot pink in the middle, and then we have some of that dark pink in here, and then the emerald green. So I have 3 skeins of this that are one dye lot, and then I have 3 skeins of this that are a different dye lot. And really the only differences between the 2 dye lots are that the other one is darker and the pink may bleed on you, so that's why that one's not in the shop. But you know, I mean, I'm going to use that for my own self. So because I did talk about that, I think, in my last vlog, and I talked about it. Oh man, there's a cat fight. Why is it every time I podcast there's a cat doing something? Oh my goodness, I can't even. Anyway, but I did talk about that in my last vlog, and I talked about that on my dye channel. So I'm not going to sell that one, so I don't even know why I brought it up. But if you are interested in it anyway, I'll sell it to you for a cheaper price. Just let me know. So I'm going to put that away. And then the other color that I have that's in the shop is Harvest Maiden. This is the skein that or the colorway that I used for my Hello Gorgeous pumpkin sweater. So this is a different dye lot, obviously, and the speckles are a little bit heavier than what's in my sweater, but I'm going to show this to you. So it is a very light yellow base with some speckles and a little bit of smear of chocolate brown and some reds. Here's another section. So I have 2 skeins of this, and then I have 1 skein that's from my original dye lot that I used for my sweater that is lighter in speckles, and I will put that variation, well, I will have that variation in my listing. So if you want something that's just a little bit lighter in speckling, I only have 1 skein of that, and then I have 2 skeins of this. And also in shop news, starting the end of this week, I will have my turnaround times will be longer. Currently, my turnaround times from the time I get payment for an order to the time I ship it out is 3 days. I'm going to be extending that to a week, just so you know. Yeah, I know, holidays are right around the corner, but I'm not going to be able to, for the most part, get things out earlier than a week. So that's why I'm turning that time around. And I think that's it for shop news. So this weekend, what did I do? I'm going to throw some video probably here or over my face or something. This past weekend, we went to Cheekwood Botanical Gardens. That is a estate slash botanical gardens slash art space that we have here on the ritzier side of Nashville, if you will. So, excuse me. So currently, until near the end of the month, they have what they're calling harvest days or something like that. The whole place is just decorated in pumpkins, and they have a walkway where you just see different themed scarecrows. There are a couple of schools in the area that participate in this, and so I guess they just pick a theme or something for their school or their groups or whatever, and then they just make a scarecrow, and they put it on this walkway that goes toward the section where they have trains. And so they're like, yeah, a lot of them are very, very clever the way they do these things. So I have some up here. And then the train section, they keep building on that every few years, or expanding on that every few years. And I love it. I don't know, I like trains anyway. And they have like this whole, they have a little section there for like little kids to play with and stuff, like to play around, like a playground type area, but it's really, really small. And then right next to it, they have the train section that they keep building on. And they have mushrooms and pumpkins in there and all kinds of nature type stuff. And then they added another section a couple years back where you can go in, and it's kind of like a little hut type thing, and you can press buttons and get like animal sounds and stuff like that. And I think you can control one of the train sections too. So yeah, we did that, and then looked around at the flowers and stuff. I usually have a whole way that I do things. I walk in, and then I do that trail that had the scarecrows on it. It's not there all the time, obviously, but I do that trail, and I go look at the trains, and then I go into the herb garden, and then I go to the section that's right after the herb garden, and then I go across the way to this big section. That's always changing. They have like different types of flowers and stuff. This time they had a lot of mums. And then I go through the pathway into the Japanese gardens, and then after that it's whatever. And I'm a member, so I always get the garden and the mansion tickets, because then if I am on the other side of the estate and I need to go use the bathroom, it's right there. Otherwise you can't go in there if you don't have a ticket. So, and they have art in there, and usually have like some kind of decorations going on. They have quite a few art exhibits inside that house. This time they had portraits. They had their own art that they put up. That's just like permanent pieces. And one of the exhibitions was it really looked new, so I don't know if they just really polished the silver or not, but it looked like upcycled utensils, like knives, spoons, forks, ladles, buckles, things like that, and they just kind of made it into art. I don't think I got any photos of that, but that's what they had going on this time. And they're also setting up for a wedding. So we couldn't see the whole house because they had some of it sectioned off, and it was almost close to closing time. Otherwise we would have been able to, but it was kind of late in the day. Yeah, so that's what I did this weekend. Trying to think if there's anything else. No, that's pretty much the highlight. So I think in my last vlog I was talking about how many WIPS I had and how I wanted to not start anything else with the exception of socks until I got it down to a good number, and if it takes me to the end of the year, it takes me to the end of the year. Well, I started off with 8, and now I'm down to 5. So I'll tell you what happened. So one of them was the Moral leggings, and I did talk about that in my last vlog. Mostly it's off the table now because I don't have any more dark scrap to add to the hip section. So it's done until the end of the year, going into next year. My second WIP was I think I talked about this one in my scrappy projects. It was going to be a wrap. It was all fingering weight scraps. I was just done with that. I was done with it. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to look at it. I was like, you know what? I don't like this project anymore. So what I did is I just tied it off, got rid of the ends, and I gave it to the cats. There's this basket that one of my cats likes to sleep in. I just folded it up and stuck it in there, and I'm like, there you go. So that's another WIP that's done. So that brought me down to 6. And I don't have it to show yet because it's currently blocking, but I do have a video. I just finished my Hello Gorgeous sweater. So the last time I talked about it, I think I had like this much left on the arm, and I needed to unpick the bind off on the bottom part of the hem on the body and redo that because it was too tight. So I did all that, and I had this much of the Harvest Maiden yarn left over and was not enough to do the cuff, so I did the cuff in the light orange color that was up here in the yoke. And so I have 2 different color cuffs going on, but you know, I think it goes well with the sweater. And I also had that band, that brown band that I put on one of the arms. So yeah, I'm glad I got that done. I really wanted to wear that one when I go back home to visit. So I'm glad that is ready to go. Oh, and I finished so I guess I had 9, not 8 WIPs. I finished my color palette socks. So I only have 1 sock blocker, but I finished them. So this is what it looks like on the thing. And here's the other one. And I tried them on and they're so cute. I'm still wearing my original socks from, when did I start making socks? The end of 2019. I'm still wearing socks from 2019, 2020. So all these are just waiting. Probably they're going to wait a few years before I ever wear them. It's not often that I will finish a pair of socks and then just go ahead and wear them. So I'm kind of just cycling through them from oldest to newest. And I blow out my socks pretty quickly. I think a pair of socks maybe last me 2 years. And I may or may not darn them. It just kind of depends. I do try to like darn them at least once, but after that it's kind of, yeah. But almost all of the colors on here are my hand dyed, and only one of them is actually active in the shop. The rest of them are discontinued. So this light contrast color is a discontinued yarn. It's Pink Champagne on Ice, and it's not very pink, but I tried to make it realistic. And I made it years ago. This color here is not mine, and I don't know what it is. I got it at the Smart Supply thrift shop in Nashville. And then this one here is Forest Floor, which I sometimes have in the shop. This one here is a empty the dye pots, one of a kind, that is not in the shop, but I don't think it was ever in the shop, honestly. It was just something I did when I first started dyeing yarn and playing around. This color here that is in the shop is Spiced Apple Pie, and it's light to medium shades of oranges and cream. And then we go back to this one of a kind Halloween-y type color, and then we go back to Forest Floor. And there you go. So these are so cute, and what I really like about this pattern is that you can, you know, you can do whatever the heck you want. So like I'm gonna do this again. I have so much of this Pink Champagne on Ice. So I think what I'm gonna do, not anytime soon, but probably within the next 6 months, I'm gonna do this sock again. I'm gonna see what I have in my scrap, but I'm sure I have plenty of colors where I can come up with something and just give it a totally different vibe, because this is all kinds of autumn vibes, and I love it because I love autumn. It's my favorite season. It's a lot of our favorite seasons. But yeah, so I almost want to wear these, but I'm not going to. I have plenty of other socks to wear right now. So, I don't know, maybe next year I'll wear these, but yeah, I really love them. It's a great pattern. It's easily memorizable. It's a free pattern. The name of the designer is escaping me, but everything that I talk about will be linked below. But yeah, you're just doing your toe, and then it's a 1x1 rib for the contrast sections. One like a purl and then knit through the back loop. So that's how you're really getting those prominent rib sections. And then you just do 15 rows of whatever section color you want. So it's so cute. And then what else? That blue tunic that I stopped talking about, now I can talk about again. And I did actually talk about it in my last vlog. I have started the second section. So my idea that I was talking about with decreases kind of worked. I don't want to lose anything here. But it didn't work in the way that I thought it would. So what I was thinking would happen was with the V section, I was just going to do, I was doing a 2x2 right over left or left over right, I don't remember, cable, just so I could split them for the middle. Doing a normal decrease on both sides, right? One decrease on each side. And then after 10 rows, I was going to do a triple just so I can get to the strap size that I wanted. And what I thought it was going to do was kind of do like a curvy thing like that, but it didn't do that. It just kind of went like that. But that section that I was experimenting on was the back. So this is the side with the butterflies. So this is what happens. So if you can imagine that, you know, my front is my back. This is what it's looking like. So I have to pin the strap because it's curving in on itself. But I got it to about an inch, maybe slightly more than an inch. So that's what it looks like. And now I'm doing the other side, like, we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's what it looks like in the back. So you can imagine it's going to do the same thing on the back. So in the front, oh, I haven't started yet. Okay. I'm at the point where I'm getting ready to do that. So it's still like this. But I'm doing this part here on the front, I think. No, I'm doing this side on the front. Yeah, I just started the decreases for the front. I'm going to ignore that. I haven't taken that out yet. I don't need that anymore. So if I do the same thing for the front, it's going to be a really wide V. It's not going to be deep, but it's going to be really wide. But I also need to keep the straps even. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for the front. I may just keep it the same way as I have in the back. I don't know. This is why I don't typically design my own clothing. I have made my own off the top of my head, and it's kind of, most of what I've made, actually I think everything I've made ends up being something just to wear around the house. I would like to not have that happen with this. So if the front doesn't go the way I want, then I'll just have to figure out something else, because I would like to actually wear this in public, you know. So anyway, this yarn is Juniper Moon Farm Zoe, I think it is, and it's a cotton linen blend, and that's the texture of it. It's very splitty, but it is cotton and linen. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's not rough to work with. I don't know what it'll look like when it blocks, because this is what the fabric looks like right now. It's kind of bumpy and stuff. So I don't know if that will smooth out when I block it. I've never knit anything large with cotton linen. I don't think I've knit anything with cotton linen before. No, I haven't. So hopefully that smooths out. That'll be nice. Anything else? I've worked on a few more squares. I'm gonna bring that project with me to Connecticut, and hopefully I can knock out the rest of the squares that I need. Because I think I need 17 more. No, I need 15 more at minimum to see, like, to really lay out that blanket and really start getting my colors where I want them and all that, and figure out the size and then fill in the gaps where I need them. So I'm gonna bring a bunch of scrap yarn with me and try to knock that out, because I'm gonna be gone for 10 days. So it's not the whole family, so if anybody's trying to, you know, if anybody sees this and wants to come to my house, you're gonna be met with somebody. I'm just saying. What else? I am going to bring a sock pattern, the feet teeth socks. I'm bringing that. I have an empty pair of US 2s because that's what was on the color palette. I'm leaving that empty because I'm taking my mom to Skein Yarn Shop in Rhode Island. It's a little over an hour's drive from where we are. Yeah, well, maybe more like an hour and a half, because we're used to going to Fall River. That's 2 hours. And I can't think of the town that Skein is in right now, but I'm pretty sure that the Braga Bridge that you have to go over to get into Fall River is a half hour from there. So it's about an hour and a half. So, I mean, if we can make it to Fall River, we certainly can make it to Rhode Island, right? So we're going to go there. So that'll be fun. And I won't be able to see the ladies that do the podcast there. They're going to Rhinebeck, but I'm there to get yarn and have my mom pick out something. She's never been to a yarn shop before. That's in my knowledge, so that'll be fun for her. Get something to eat and then go back home. But so that's what the empty pair of needles are for. So I think between those 3 projects, I should be fine. I feel like I need to bring something else, because I'd rather have more things to work on than less, just in case, 1, I'm bored, 2, I actually blow through everything. You know, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. If I finish these socks, I think I talked about, yeah, I have talked about these socks before. These are forest pine socks. This is where I was learning that heel, the heel flap and gusset. If I finish these this week, then I will bring this set of needles, and actually I guess I could just bring this with me. I think I will, even if I don't finish them, because then I'll be done with them at the very beginning of the trip. I'll start another pair of DK weight socks, because what I'm thinking of doing for my next pair of DK weight socks, I don't know the name of the pattern, but again, I'll link everything below, but I'll put a picture up here. I know they have cats. It's a cat sock, so like the toe going up to like half of the foot is like cat ears, and like a rounded part in the middle. So, and then you like go over it and like embroider the eyes and nose and stuff after you're done with the sock. So I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna do heel flap and gusset on that so I can get more practice. And I figured out with heel flap and gusset, as I'm learning this heel, why it looks different. Like this part here, why it looks different is because when you're doing cuff down, which most people will do cuff down when they're doing heel flap and gusset, this part here is up here, and this reinforced part is up here. Now this reinforced part you could do on the heel, you could do on the back of the heel, you could skip it on the bottom of the heel, you could skip it on the top of the heel. So that's what was throwing me off. So now I know that I just did a reinforcement for the bottom of the heel. Down here it's a slip one, knit one, and then I didn't do anything back here. So that's all your own modification. But this part here, where you're knitting your stitches together, I guess you're increasing if you're going cuff down. I don't know. I'm never going to do cuff down. I say that, but I probably will never do cuff down. But when you're doing it going up, you're decreasing, right? So you're picking up here on the side of the heel, and then you're decreasing as you're going around until you close up everything and then you knit for the leg. So that's where the difference is that this thing here is on the bottom of the foot when you're doing toe up, and this thing here is up here when you're doing cuff down. So now that I have that figured out, I'm not freaking out as much. And I'm not so afraid to do heel flap and gusset. It took a while. It took a long time. But then when I first started knitting socks, it took me a long time too. I was so frustrated until I found a good tutorial for Flegel heel. And that was my first heel. I did a few pairs of socks on that, decided that I wanted to try another heel. And I think after that I learned the short row heel. Fell in love with it. It was perfect for my foot because the Flegel heel was really loose on my foot, or on my heel I should say. And then after that I learned the Afterthought, which I like okay. I will go to the Afterthought heel if it's for the way I want the sock. If I really don't want, you know, the heel to be the same color or anything like that, then I'll do the Afterthought. So now I've got another heel in my pocket, so it's going to do just have a little bit more practice with that. So that's what those cat socks are going to be. Some more practice on that. So I can get my numbers down for DK weight, and then I have to do it for fingering weight, which at that point I think I'll be more familiar with the heel, so it shouldn't be too hard for me to figure out, you know, my numbers for fingering weight sock. But yeah, so I think that's everything I have to talk about as far as knitting stuff. As far as life stuff, I do have some sad news. So I was talking about Pete a few episodes back. He was the one that had the growth going on his face that we suspected was cancer. If you don't want to hear any of this stuff, you might want to skip over the next few minutes. I'll try to put a timestamp down. So we went and got him a CAT scan. We had to go to the emergency vet to do that because they're the only one in the area that actually has the facilities to be able to do the type of procedures that we needed to kind of figure out what was going on. So that was exorbitant, but you know, it is what it is. So the testing, biopsies, all that, found out that he did in fact have an aggressive form of cancer, and it was eating away at the bone and going to the brain. So there was a very minimal chance of survival if we took him to Chattanooga. It would be 5 in a row days every week for like a few weeks, and like upwards of 10 grand for it to might work, but there wasn't really a good chance of that happening. So we decided to just kind of go with pain management, and then monitor. So he was the growth that he had ruptured a couple of times after that, and he was just starting to have more bad days, and whenever he was eating or drinking, he was choking on himself, and it was just, we're like, you know what, let's just make a judgment call, because really at that point you're looking at a couple of weeks to a month, and it's like he's just getting worse, and I don't want to see him suffer. But I left that call to my husband because that's his baby, you know. So I was like, I'll leave it to you, you know, but I'll make the call, like the phone call, to actually make the appointment when you're ready. So we decided to just go ahead and do that. So last Friday, we put him down. And it's been hard, but you know, we made the right call. So yeah, so so that's what was going on with that. It happens, you know. He was 15 years old. He had a good life. When we found him 10, 11 years ago, he was a stray, and he was really, really messed up. So we had a lot of surgeries when we found him, and if we hadn't picked him up, he probably wouldn't have lasted a year. So I know he's had a good life. He definitely had a longer life than he would have had. So, you know, I don't feel bad about that. So, but yeah, you know, when you have animals, you have to take the good with the bad. So, but yeah, so that's what's going on the kitty front. Plumpy had her surgery. Everything is fine. She's healing perfectly fine. She's got a checkup this week before we go. And then when we get back, I've got 2 more cats. They're nothing wrong. They just need to have their senior well check. So one of them is 14. She just turned 14 2 months ago. And the other one is 7.5. So we're just doing senior well checks with them. And yeah. So that's what's going on with the kitty front. I think that's all I have. So if you're going to Rhinebeck, enjoy. I will not be going to Rhinebeck. I don't know if I ever could because I don't do well with crowds. So I just kind of watch through podcasts. And that's actually how I pick up a lot of new podcasts, is when people go to these yarn festivals and stuff. So I'll be watching those videos right along with a lot of you. And yeah, I don't think I'll have another episode up until the end of the month or beginning of November. So, oh, I'm getting tattoos. I forgot to talk about that. So I had this idea for a tattoo, right? That was going to be a sleeve. And then that kind of morphed into something smaller. So I was going to put it here. And the 2 places that I looked at that had more of the artists for that had styles that I liked, they didn't think it was something that was going to mesh right the way I had it in my head. But they did offer a lot of suggestions. Like, they're really, like, both places were just really good about that. So I finally picked a place, and I'm working with 2 different artists for 2 different things, because what I had to do was take the styles of the things that I wanted and separate them. It's fine. And then I can kind of incorporate a little bit depending on like what I got going on. But I more than them decided to just kind of separate them. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a butterfly with different colors in it on my left calf muscle, and then here, like most of this arm up here. So it's gonna be like, I don't know, 8 inches by like 6 inches, something like that. It's gonna be 2 sunflowers, and it's gonna be black and gray, or I guess it's all black, but it's just gonna have a lot of shading in it. So November 2nd, I'm getting the butterfly, and then the end of December, I'm getting the sunflowers. The guy who's doing this, he's like hyper realistic, so he's got a wait list, and it's a full day tattoo. So that's gonna be fun trying to figure that one out. As far as like, you know, eating, drinking, all that stuff, taking breaks. I've actually never had a session that long before. I've got 7 other tattoos. Sometimes I have to think about how many tattoos I have. I think I have 7. I don't think I've ever sat longer than an hour, 2 hours. This is like 7 hours, so I don't even, that's going to be an experience. But I decided to go with black and white, or black and gray, whatever, tattoo, with no color. I kind of wanted color. I was really leaning toward color. But I was like, you know, it'll be really fun when I have like grandkids, or, you know, however that works. I have, look, just draw on grandma. Go ahead, get your colors out. I want to be the cool grandma that you can color on, because I'm not going to give a crap about my skin and chemicals by the time that happens. So, you know, go for it. That's the thought anyway. And then I was going to have a fairy in the motif that I had. So that's not going to work. Although I can incorporate certain aspects with the fairy. So what I'm going to do, I think. Oh, I just thought of this now. Okay, so I'm going to get a fairy here, right? I'm actually going to get 2 fairies, right? But I'll talk about this right now. I'm going to get a fairy here holding a bird of paradise, right? So that one's going to take up almost a whole forearm. And then this one on this side, I actually have a picture, like a drawing of a fairy somewhere in this house, and I can't remember where the hell it is, and it's pissing me off. But it's like Most people would think this is like the ugliest fairy ever because, like, you know, it's like misshapen, kind of looks like a fly. It's got like broken teeth and all this stuff, and it's just like the most happiest, go lucky, don't give a crap about nothing fairy. And I'm just like, I need this, because that's like, if that doesn't talk about life and how finding joy and like just, you know, the simple things in life and just being in your own lane, I don't know what else would represent that. So like, I need to find that, because that's what's going over here. So I'm gonna have your stereotypical pretty fairy over here, and then this awesome fairy over here. That's what I'm gonna do as soon as I find that damn picture somewhere in this freaking house. Last time I saw it was when I changed the rooms, so I know I have it. I just don't know where it is. It's making me angry. I really should have taken a photo of it, and I never did. Yeah, so that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and thank you for, if you watch the whole thing, kind of sitting with me with that little uncomfortable moment. But yeah, so enjoy the rhyme bag videos, and I will see you next time, probably with some yarn purchases. I'm gonna try to keep it minimal, but I definitely want to get some yarn for my mom to pick out for socks. So and I'll see you later. All right, go make something. Bye.